Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. This is my preview video for Florida audio show, but why am I in front of my projector looking at bright lights and showing you this? Well, there will be a tie-in, but I'll hold that off for a second. What I'm going to tell you about is the Florida Home Audio Show is a great show. I haven't heard of anything major being released like the Acora VRC one, the statement piece that they came out with last year, but forget about the gear. I mean, I've seen more gear in the last 12 months anyway. I go to more shows than anybody on the planet that, you know, it's very hard on gear alone to say that's why I'm going. When I go to the Florida Audio Show is the people behind the show are great, the vendors are great, the people attending are great, Tampa is great, fun town. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. Because even though there's nothing mind-boggling in terms of new gear that I've heard about being there, certainly if you don't go as many shows as me, you're going to appreciate some of those things anyway. But a couple of things I wanted to point out as a preview, at least for me, that are going to be a highlight. Number one being, I talked with Val at Acora, and he does after-hours viewings with, well, actually listening sessions where you can play past midnight sometimes in his room. A nice party, drinking, having a great time. But what I talked to him about, and he agreed to do this, it's going to be a lot of fun. At least for maybe 1 hour of those after-hour nights, we're going to do what's called Name That Tune. And maybe we'll do audiophile recordings. Maybe we'll do 80s. Brush up on your Keith, don't go. Although I don't know if you want to win knowing audiophile recordings quicker than anybody else. That might be a scarlet letter for you. But here's the thing. If you do win, we're going to have some prizes for people. And Jeff with Blue Jeans Cable, you've seen that in my recent videos featuring Blue Jeans Cable, and I've sold tons of these already. Jeff has been so busy. But he sent me one to give away for free. Whoever wins one of the contests, this will be one of the prizes. One of the power cords. This is probably a $295 value. So and also I'll have it there if you want to see the quality and check it out. If you're considering ordering and you don't win, you want to see the quality of this cable, go ahead and take a look at this and then compare it to any power cable that's in any room. Maybe I'll even get one of the rooms to hook it up. So in any case, that's going to be there. The other thing that's going to be there, it somewhat ties into what I wanted to show you guys, is that the Bacch is going to be there, not with Edgar. This is the first time it's going to be at the Tampa Audio Show, but Edgar can't make it, but he has a dealer that I know down there, Mike Sweck with Unique Home Audio, and he carries the Bacch now, and he's going to have a room. He's had the room in the past, and I visited his room in the past, but this is the first time he's going to have the Bacch and the Dutch and Dutch speakers. He's also an Acora dealer, too, and has showcased them in the past. But this is the first time the Bacch will be at a show without Edgar and at Tampa, so definitely come and check it out. And I've got a Zoom that's going to follow this intro I do for you guys, and you're going to hear more about Mike's dealership, more about him and the room and what we're doing there. So stay tuned for that. But what I wanted to also do, one reason why it's probably wise if you are considering the Bacch to buy now, either the Audio Dio or the Bacch for Mac, is because Edgar just released something that is mind-boggling. If you thought the crosstalk cancellation was crazy and unbelievable and game-changing, yeah, it was. But in some respects, his optimal room correction could be more industry disrupting than anything, because certain recordings, if there are no spatial cues, then crosstalk cancellation may or may not have a delta that's huge. Most recordings you can hear an easy difference, but then some people are so conditioned to hearing crosstalk, they actually like a confined sound state. They've been just so brainwashed that they think that crosstalk cancellation and the Bacch is a gimmick. We'll show you in this Zoom how you can prove that's not the case, but I'm not here to talk about the Bacch. You'll hear that in Tampa. What I want to talk about is this optimal room correction. Totally just industry disrupting. I can't believe it. I've only had it for 24 hours, but I'm so mind-boggled. I probably have more experience with DSP than 99% of audiophiles. I've had Direct and all these other things over the years testing them, and I've been a big fan of them. And people have always asked me, can you do a video to how you use Direct and all that? And it's always been a labor that I didn't want to get into, because it's just, there's no substitute for experience with how much time it would take to show you how to do it. This is a game changer, guys. Put the mics in your ears. You're literally finished within a minute or two, and it's so much more powerful than Direct. I compared the two because I have Direct here. I compared my room without anything and what Direct did, and then measured what the projections are. Because if you know, Direct presents a curve that it targets, but that doesn't, they don't remeasure it for you to show how close it actually got, because DSP sometimes is limited in what it can do. Well, with no more, with ORC, optimal room correction with the Bacch, you measure it, you get the target, and then you also have the measurements after the fact. And look at this, guys. Free field. This is flat bass in my room, at my ear, in my listening position. I'm going to make this claim right now. This is pretty controversial, but it's really not when you think about it. There is no system now in the world that can be considered the best without this. And I'm going to say it can't be considered the best on objective metrics. This kind of flat response at your listening position, in your ears. Show me one system without this technology that gets this on objective metrics. Zero in the world. And on personal metrics, ear pinna. Because what Edgar has done that none of these other softwares have done, not only with in-ear measurements going what is in your ear, he's figured out why, in some respects, people don't like flat response, and why we are never really fooled by speakers. Because two speakers playing a guitar or a piano aimed straight at our ears exaggerates an ear pinna effect. Our ear pinna exaggerates certain frequencies. So he's been able to break down a frequency response into much more complicated time and frequency response domain, both direct reflections, delayed reflections. I don't want to get into all this stuff, but basically ear pinna response, low order, high order, he is able to adjust for what our ear pinna corrupts when two speakers are shouting at us and make it seem more real to what it would be in real life, and negates that psychoacoustic thing that tells us when two speakers are shouting at us that it's not really real. And so this level of complicated, and I'm going to get into this in a whole different video in more detail, but this is game changing, guys. Unbelievable the difference it makes. You could A/B it so quickly. There's not a system it can't fix, at least improve. And do you still need bass traps? Do you still need maybe sometimes something? Yeah, but this is so powerful, guys. I cannot tell you, nobody's getting this flatter response in their ear at their room in the world. In the world. So whatever metric you want to use, and then tailoring it to your ear and your ear pinna, best in the world for objective, best in the ear for you. This is something you're going to want to get. It's not going to be at Tampa. It's going to be, but if you do buy the products, Bacch, before the month end, you can get grandfathered in on discount pricing, or certain things will be free. Definitely want, if you're on the fence, you want to go check it out, come to my house or come to Tampa or do the trial, 14-day trial. Go ahead and put your order in, because you're going to want this in the future. This is going to basically put out of business all the other DSP. And anybody that doesn't have any type of correction for this and your ear pinna, you are going to hear why you are never fooled by your stereo again, and why you always know it's a stereo. This totally makes your speakers disappear, enhances the actual crosstalk cancellation as well. And one thing you can do that never been done before is you can choose different people's philosophies on frequency response. If you believe in Sean Olive Harmon curve, you can just one button push and it'll change it to that Harmon curve. You like Bob Katz, his roll-off or his frequency response preferences, David Chesky, flat. You can now do this with one button push and not have to adjust a bunch of nodes like you have to do in direct and guess, and not have that acumen of many years experience like I had to do on my own. Now he's automated a lot of these things. And again, direct and diffuse timing related reflections, addressing that, and able to adjust the amount of dB correction max. 2 dB max is what I'm doing, guys, for direct sound. It's just unbelievable the power that this has. And head tracking, constantly tracking your head for any movement. This is unbelievable, guys. So just wanted to give you this preview of this, because any system without it is never going to reach its potential, and you're not hearing the best that your gear can do, the best that your room can do, and the best sound possible for your ears. So stay tuned for this Zoom, though, and learn a lot more at Tampa, because we're going to preview and talk about this a little bit. It just won't be there to test. Axpone will probably be the first time to test, or come to my home, or I can put you in touch with some of my members who already have it or are going to be having it soon, and you can demo it yourself. All right, guys, enjoy. But yeah, mainly just wanted to cover with you a chance to highlight your dealership and your history with the Tampa Audio Show, but also focusing in on, obviously, you're going to be the only dealer and really the only person ever at a show to have the Bacch demo, and you're going to have the audio there. So thought it might be good for you to introduce yourself to the audience and give the details on your room and any background you have, basically on your dealership in Florida, as well as what you plan to be doing at the Tampa show this coming weekend.
Yeah, so I got into high-end audio pretty early in life. My friend's dad was pretty high up in the Ford Motor Company, and he allowed me the opportunity to buy stuff from him. So when I was 17 years old, my first preamp was an Audio Research SP9 and a Threshold SA4 amplifier. And so I got a good early start in the high-end audio at a young age, and then just kept building just personal stuff from there. And I started a construction company, had a big building and a lot of extra rooms. So I started a company called Pure Audio in Michigan, and became a dealer for Quad, Belcanto, Audio Quest. Quad had a good following back then. You know, they were pretty popular. So I did some of the shows in the Detroit area, and my room was standing room only. And it was it was fun. And then sold that business when me and my wife moved to Florida. And then I was kind of out of high-end audio for a while. Got into a bigger expense habit, was getting boats. And once we got our house, we weren't using the boat as much. So I just missed being in the audio. And I didn't want to be a dealer at that time. What I did is I reached out to Sound Labs, because I kind of know Dr. West and Connie from Sound Labs. I said, hey, you have 11 dealers, no one even near me. So I have no problem, being a showroom for you. And they kind of liked that idea. I wasn't really a dealer, but people wanted to audition them. And I actually sold more of their speakers than their dealers did. So it kind of worked out good. And doing that, I also picked up Atmosphere from Ralph, because the Atmospheres and the Sound Labs kind of worked well together, and sold some stuff for Ralph from Atmosphere. And it was the 2019, I believe, Tampa Audio Expo. Me and my wife just went there and walking around, and it was kind of funny because I owned Pure Audio in the mid 2000s. So but people still remembered me, and all the rooms we were going to either knew the equipment, heard the equipment, owned the equipment before. And my wife really didn't want me to own a business again. And we're just sitting at the cafeteria, and she's like, you're like a kid in a candy store. Just go ahead and make it a business. So I started and incorporated Unique Home Audio. Unfortunately, I incorporated January of 2020, and we all know what happened February of 2020. The world kind of stopped. So it was a kind of a very slow start. Not that was a bad thing. It would have been a slow start anyways. I kind of call it a Unique Home Audio for a reason. Very dedicated to the one-on-one customer, and a lot of support. Yes, I love making a sale, but it's not about the dollar amount for me. It's making somebody happy and getting in this hobby. So that's kind of why I called it Unique Home Audio. And did the first Tampa Audio Expo the following year, and very nervous, and met you there, and said I was going to have the Sound Lab speakers there, and I ended up not taking them because really wasn't sure how to get a 7-foot speaker in an elevator. But it was pretty successful. I got a good jump start. And then we did the Tampa Audio Expo last year, and I had the Acora. I picked up Acora Acoustics from Bell. I heard them that first year he was there. Thought they were phenomenal speakers, and became a dealer for Acora. And then just started building the brands from there, just from my personal experience, things I listened to that I felt were very good products. I never picked a product because that was what is selling everywhere. You know, I have to believe the product, like the product, and that's kind of how Unique Audio came about. So it's a newer company. Obviously, I just started in 2020. Really, the ball didn't start rolling until after COVID in 2021, after that first Tampa show.
And so you have the you still sell Atmosphere at all, or?
Yes, I had the very first, actually the first audio show in Tampa. I had the um, Atmosphere listed, and you came in my room looking for big tube amplifiers, and I had those little Class Ds. They were actually still prototypes; they weren't even in production. Ralph called me up, and I said, you know, I was going to do his stuff there, and he said, "Hey, I got these Class D amplifiers. You really should try out." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not a Class D fan." And he assured me they sound like his tube amps, so he sent me them, and I did hook them up to the Sound Labs. Again, 100 watts. He's like, they're not going to play the Sound Labs loud, but you'll get a good flavor. And he said they're like my tube amplifiers, and I was blown away. They really did have the sound signature of his tube amplifiers. So we ran those at that show, and really big feedback. I had them last year's show, played them on the Acoras. Again, really good feedback with them. So yes, I still sell Atmosphere products.
And then I know you have Dutch and Dutch as well. So between Dutch and Dutch and Acora, you have two of the preeminent box speakers that I've encountered, and especially, you know, regardless of cost, no object budget, at the different price points that they offer, those are industry-setting pieces. And I know the Dutch and Dutch actually includes the Bach, the U-Bach, basically the intro version of the Bach in their latest one. And you're going to have the Dutch and Dutch speakers in Tampa, right, to debut with the audio, the Bach audio.
That is correct. So I heard Dutch and Dutch last year's at Expona, and a reviewer, guy that remembered me and my wife from doing the Tampa show, said, you know, hey, you really should go hear those. And me and my wife went and listened to them, and they were something special, especially for their price point. So I kind of brought on Dutch and Dutch and Bach at the same time. So this show is going to primarily be the Dutch and Dutch 8C speakers, the Bach audio, and I am going to have the HiFi Rose new RS-130 streamer there, and then a MoFi turntable. So, but the primary focus is definitely the Dutch and Dutch and the Bach.
Yeah, it's very rare to see both of those pieces, although Expona has been one show where people could see it. But yeah, people not familiar with Dutch and Dutch, especially now that it includes the Bach intro version, it'll be actually super. And I've met the guy with Dutch and Dutch. He's a big fan of the Bach. And but now having it with the audio on site, that'll give people a different flavor than what Edgar usually brings, those Jansen speakers. So I'm excited to see the Dutch and Dutch, how they work in a room. I'm sure they're going to be really nice, and they have a different aesthetic than the Jansens too. So I think that is going to be a really good match. I'll be in the room a lot. So wanted to preview for people that are coming to the show how they can best demo the Bach, because it's a different product than a stereotypical room where you go in, sit wherever, and kind of make judgments. It's really based on being calibrated in that center position. And we don't have time to calibrate everybody that comes in there, but as long as you get that pre-calibrated center chair position, that's where you get to appreciate the Bach, because I totally missed it the first time. So one thing I wanted to talk about was how you were going to run the room this year, and some ideas that I had as well based on my experience is that anybody that's interested in going to the show, well, obviously beforehand and after, they can obviously contact you if they're in Florida. You're the dealer for the state of Florida. For audio, DO, and the Grand, only Bach for Max, he only lets me and David Chesky sell those. But, you know, anything for the audio, DO, and the Grand in Florida, you're going to want to contact Unique Home Audio and Mike. But also, if you are going to the show, want to talk about maybe scheduling potential before hour, after hour appointments. We did this in Expono. It was very effective, where you can get that dedicated one-on-one time, get actually calibrated yourself for your ear pinna and ears. So if you are a serious customer actually interested in this, getting that one-on-one, we'll be offering, I guess I don't want to speak for you, Mike, but is okay for people to reach out. They can reach out to me, and then I can talk to you about what time slots are available, and before and after hours, within reason, maybe an hour before, hour after each day. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking along those same lines. I actually wanted to get your input on that, what you felt, and I think we had our call earlier today. We are kind of around the same page with that. So yeah, I figured if the show, I believe, goes till 5, maybe shut it down an hour beforehand and run a couple hours after, or people do want to come earlier, that's not a problem. So I do think doing the one-on-one is really cool to be able to put the microphones in their ears and show them what it's all about. So I kind of like doing it that way.
Yeah, and if you can't do it before or after hours, when you go into the room, just be patient, wait for that center position. That's if you're a subscriber of mine, come up to me. I can walk you up to Mike's room and we can try to get you slotted in there. But if you are in that center position, here's a few things. Um, just be cognizant that a lot of people want to get that center position. It's one of the few rooms I've ever been in a show where it's tough to get people out of the room. Some people barely last in some rooms one song. Here, sometimes it's 4 or 5 songs, and that starts adding up with limited hours in the day, limited amount of people. But if you do go in the room and you cannot get the center position, you will get a percentage of the spatial cues and crosstalk cancellation if you sit behind that center main chair versus off axis. Off axis, it's going to sound like pretty much any other speaker that you listen to, but you won't get as much of the three-dimensional crosstalk cancellation calibrated for you. So that's one tip. Be cognizant about staying in that center position. And also wanted to talk about, over the years, what are people's main concerns? What are their main questions about it? Number one being how you integrate this in your system. And that's what's really versatile about this product. You can just add it in, keep everything the way you can use the same DAC, same streamer, everything the same, not replace a thing. It just inserts usually right before your DAC. You're good to go. However, depending on what product you buy, the Audio Dio, Bach for Mac, you can actually start replacing your streamer, DAC. It could be an all-in-one piece. And certainly the piece that you're bringing, the audio, is a state-of-the-art DAC, linear power supply, a full billet aluminum chassis that's actually CNC by the same people, MSB, that makes mega dollar DACs. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The other question, working into your system, we can talk about that with you. The other thing is price point. That's one thing Edgar's been very cognizant about, is offering stuff at any price point. You could buy the Dutch and Dutch speakers from Mike that has the Bach U-Bach, the basic intro version already included. You can buy that software separately if you want to, or there are different tiers from the Bach for Mac to Audio Dio with linear power supplies. One has a DAC, one doesn't, all the way up the line to cost no object, $54,000 grand. So price points, we can address that, whatever fits your budget and your needs. And then the other thing is sometimes people have preconceived notions to DSP and things. And I'll let you talk about how Bach impressed you, having history going back to quads, and you were probably in the industry when DSP was not that great and wasn't part of the mainstream, and how technology has advanced and why the Bach is so much different. But I'll let people know, and we might be able to do this in the room. I know Edgar sometimes does it, but the most common thing is people think it's a fabrication, that what you're hearing is not real or a gimmick or whatever. And one thing you can do to prove it to you, well, there's multiple ways to prove it to you, but one thing you can do at the shows is, while the mics are in your ears getting calibrated with test tones, you can actually turn it into a recording studio. There's a feature in the Bach where you can record people talking to you at 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then replay it on the speakers in the room. And with the Bach on and off, you will then realize when you're hearing the Bach on, it's actually more accurate to what's in the recording because you were just there for the recording. Some of these other recordings, depending on what was mastered, you will have significant deltas in spatial cues or very minimal. And so we like people to try as many different recordings as they want. I did upload into Qobuz and Tidal my audiophile junkie Bach playlist, which has some sample songs that I've used that have different degrees of 3D spatial cues in the recording. And so those are a lot of fun. We'll play some of those, but you're welcome to, if you come audition, you're welcome to choose some tracks, to just be cognizant about how much time you spend in that center chair. But really, we have answers for all your questions. A dedicated demo before and after is highly recommended. So reach out to me if you want to do that. But maybe, Mike, talk about how you got exposed to Bach. I think it was somebody, one of your customers telling you about it. Is that right?
Yeah, right before when some of my customers knew I was going to Expono, one of my customers reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've been reading about this product, Bach, from a Princeton professor, and kind of told me, what it was somewhat about. It was still kind of archaic for me, not really knowing much about it, but I made a point to go see Edgar and sat in the center chair like you talked about, and put the microphones the microphones in my ears, and he did that. He walked around and he whispered in my ear and played it back. You get startled. It's like it's literally right in your ear. That's kind of the demo I do for people here at our showroom. I'll walk around and I'll come up and whisper in their left ear and right ear, and their reaction is just, it's priceless. Like they jump, or you don't hear it come out of the speaker. I don't get how he does it, but it is a really cool demonstration. And that's how I became a part of it. And then talked to Edgar after Expona, and it just was a good fit. And at that same time, I was bringing on the Dutch and they were big fans of the Bach as well. And so it just all kind of worked together within weeks after Expona, bringing on Dutch. And at that time, I did not know Dutch was working on having the U-Bach filter on their speakers. I kind of think that was a little bit on the down low at that time, but so that's how I got into the Bach. And then and I just think it's the single piece of equipment that can elevate any system far better than any other piece of equipment. That's my experience.
Yeah, I mean, I routinely have people back here that have mega dollar systems. Just had a guy back here that yesterday that had Magico speakers, really mega dollar DCS DAX. He's going to be adding it to his system. And I'm using relatively cost-wise modest gear back in my room, but yeah, it can give you stuff that no matter what you spend on speakers, amps, whatever, DAC, you cannot get this level of spatial cues without this crosstalk cancellation. And within the last 2 hours, I just upgraded my Bach to the ORC, which is the optimal room correction module he just came out with. And what's amazing is I haven't even got a chance to listen yet. I did the measurements and I had to jump on this Zoom. But what was really cool before I even listened is that unlike Dirac and some of these others that do a projection of getting your room flat based on the measurements it's taken, well, a couple things. Number one, like Dirac and other ones, they're using a single point mic or estimates from around the room. None of them take into account what goes into your ear and your ear pinna, which is a huge difference. Anybody that's run an impulse response will know, and done stuff with Bach knows that what goes in your ear is a lot different than what over here. Just a few inches with these wavelengths makes a big difference. So Edgar wanted to solve that problem of all these pieces of software doing the best they could, but never being truly accurate to what goes into your ear. And so that's part one. But part two that I've always wanted from Dirac and all these other ones, and I got to see it firsthand today, is that after he does the projected corrections with his DSP, then he remeasures you while within the same 30 seconds, remeasures after the corrections are applied, and then you can see how close the projections are to what now is measured going into your ears. And it's eerie how accurate the projections are, how powerful the DSP is. There's always been a contention that you can't DSP your way out of certain issues. And that's still going to be true to a certain extent. It can't cure everything, but you would be amazed just with my room measurements, what level of room modes and stuff it can correct. Turning off Dirac, it's unbelievable how much DSP has advanced and how much it can correct things, and how much science he's gone into what should be the optimal response going into your ears. And he was telling me on the phone, there's even some really state-of-the-art technology for people that have hearing loss and other things that they want to adjust for, that, you know, a 20-year-old may want to hear 20 to 20,000 evenly or a certain way. If you've got hearing loss and all that stuff, he's got stuff for that too. This is really exciting stuff that's going to be coming. Won't be, unfortunately, at Tampa, and the audio and Dio should be getting it within the next few months, but just wanted to give you guys that preview. And so now's the time to get in before this becomes even more pricey and in higher demand. The current wait time is around 8 weeks currently. So, you know, this is a great chance to demo it, feel comfortable with it, ask any questions. Feel free to reach out to Mike ahead of time. You want to give your website and phone number and all that?
Yeah, the website is uniquehomeaudiolllc.com, and my phone number is 727-487-1869.
Great. Yeah.
And
So
email's really simple. It's just uniquehomeaudiousa@gmail.com.
yeah, so you can reach out to Mike if you want to schedule a demo before and after. You can reach out to me if you'd like me to be there too, or I can reach out to Mike. We could basically, I won't be there the whole time, but between me, Doug's coming with me, who has the audio. Dave is coming with me, who has the Bach from Mac. There's going to be other Bach users. It's been like selling like crazy ever since this past year, and especially since major magazine Tom Martin with Absolute Sound just came out with a rave review, and that was after Andrew Quint gave it product of the year last year, and Robert Harley's been very favorable with it. So yeah, this is the time to check it out and dispel any concerns you have, because the more and more people that hear it, you either have people that haven't heard it that, you know, have opinion. This is your chance to hear it yourself, prove it yourself, bring a playlist, or we'll have some songs. You can search my Bach playlist on Qobuz and Tidal, and you can listen to those songs on your system now ahead of time. And then when you come hear the Bach, hear it on Dutch and Dutch with the Bach filter, and I think you'll be impressed, even in a hotel room environment. Anything else, Mike, you wanted to share before starting getting ready?
No, I'm excited. Get to the Tampa show, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting. I think people being able to hear it for themselves is it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and the other thing to mention is that you do have a 14-day free trial. You can return it for whatever reason if you don't like it. So that's another way. If you can't get to Tampa, don't live near me, don't live near Mike, you can order it, and there's no better way to try something than in your own system with your own ears and your own playlist. So that's another option as well. So feel free to reach out, and look forward to meeting a lot of you guys in Tampa. So, and I look forward to working with you this weekend, Mike.
I look forward to seeing you. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
All right. Thanks for joining, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.